Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Feminine Legacy Podcast. This is your host, Jackie Ma. And today I'm really excited to bring on a beautiful guest, Lesa Williams. She is a doula. She is a mother of 12. She assists midwives. She's in the women's work and is just truly living and walking the experience in a way that feels so powerful. So I wanted to bring her on and connect to her wisdom and just hear her voice and her story. And so without further ado, welcome, Lesa.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I've watched you and seen you for some time. And so it's really exciting that you requested me to be with you today. I'm so excited to be here and to share collectively, what is happening within this conscious planet right now, which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and start with my story.
That's great.
I am a mom of 12 children. I have 10 boys and 2 girls. So I had a girl and 5 boys and a girl and 5 more boys. My last 8 were born in an 11-and-a-half-year period. And I wanted to be a midwife for many, many years, but I stayed at home and raised my children and homeschooled and did all the things I was supposed to do. I get a lot of questions of why in the world would you have 12 kids? And part of her story, my story, is that I was involved in a Christian cult for a long time. And that's a whole nother story that we may touch on, we may not touch on. I really want to be led by source and by our higher being. I share those things as I came into my own 8 years ago and came into my own divine feminine 8 years ago, after very much in a patriarchal ruled world and doing what I was supposed to be doing, for my husband and things like that. And I had a dream. So back up. I came to North Carolina from Iowa. I was leaving the Christian community consciously. It was not serving me anymore at all. And I had a dream. I had cut my last few kids in a public school. I was crying every day, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. All I had known was to be a stay-at-home mom and to take care of my children and to serve my family, not myself. And so my birth work was born out of those tears from a dream that I was given. I was given a dream that I was out on the ocean in a very micro boat, very small boat, and a huge whale, killer whale, came up alongside my small boat, and I'm looking down going, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna be killed in the middle of this ocean. And she barely brushed the boat. And as she brushed the boat, her fin came on my cheek and swiped my cheek and left a mark on my cheek. I don't remember a lot of dreams, but that dream absolutely was. I woke up the next morning and knew that it was life-changing for me. And I had to know the name of the whale. And so and Jackie, you have to understand, I was not exposed to a lot of spiritual world. I was in a very bad way. I was satanically and ritualistically and sexually abused as a child. And I went from one end of the pendulum to the next as far as Christianity.
Yeah.
And so I had to come back to that balance. And it took me a very long time. It took actually the death of my oldest son, Michael, to awaken that. And it still took time because we live in a lot of fears, what if we're wrong, instead of trusting ourselves, which is really what the bottom line of today, I feel like, is what will happen is that we realize that we have everything we need inside of us as that divine feminine. But I didn't know that for a long time. And so I said, you've got to give me the name of this whale. And the name Shiva came to me. I'd never heard that word in my life. I looked it up and realized it was a masculine name. And I thought, well, that confused me.
Yeah.
Here, my divine feminine is waking up, my Kundalini, and I get a male, So anyway, and then as time went on, I realized it's male and female, the masculine and the feminine. And it just turned my world completely around, gave me guidance to start my birth journey as far as a birth worker, a doula, and opened up the doors. One door after another opened up to begin that journey. And to my own truth of where we are as the feminine and how oppressed that we still are in so many ways. And going into hospital after hospital after hospital. And I started out as a volunteer. And it was mainly to minorities in a hospital. I'd just get called in. I'd be waiting outside the hospital waiting room and spending time out there, and them saying, oh, this woman needs a doula. Can you come in? And I go in, and after many, I go home crying because of how they were treated. And they were not cared for.
Yeah.
And thus began everything just, my whole world bursted open as far as what has happened to me, what has happened to my own daughters, what has happened to my own sons, because it starts with us first. And even with my own birth journey, my first 4 were C-sections. My first 2 were classical vertical cuts, and then my next 2 were horizontal cuts. I was cut on very brutally, and was told by many OBGYNs. I say many, 3 to 4. To me, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Because I knew that I was going to have a large family because of the Christian cult that we were part of, and I couldn't be butchered. I couldn't be cut on over and over. I almost died with my last 2 in surgery. It's major abdominal surgery. And they act like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And so my journey to claim back my own body and my own physiological birth was a huge journey for me. And I found it. And with my last two especially, I almost died, and it was very difficult. And so as I had another pregnancy, I literally had him at home, my home birth after 4 C-sections, and was told absolutely not to do that. I even had one woman, Josiah, my 5th born, the one that my first home birth after those 4 C-sections, asked me, he was born with Down syndrome, and asked me if he had Down syndrome because he was born at home.
Oh, wow.
Well, God was punishing you, So, and I just didn't accept, and I just didn't receive any of that. I literally laughed and danced my sweet Josiah out. And my husband was given his name when I was 5 months pregnant, and his name means Yahweh heals. So anyway, having said all that, this is my journey over 30 years, helping women literally all over the world help reclaim their body back from the abuse that has happened within the hospital realm, the medical model of care. Truly believes that they know more than we know. That we gave that over, by the way.
Oh, we did.
We handed that over, and we talked the other day about fear of death, fear of pain, and we quit supporting each other. We quit standing with each other along the way. We lost our way. And so that is my heart, to continue the work to bring that back. And so now I am a doula, not as much as I am a home birth midwife assistant.
Okay.
in my heart to bring presence to each woman, that they have everything inside of them. And that, death is part of it.
Death is part of it.
It is part of it. And we gave that over to physicians as well, to say that, oh, you control life and death.
Yeah.
And that's not true either. I'm not saying that death isn't hard. It's a polar opposite of life. But we must go to both places. And I have visited both places with losing my son to a car accident. And then just a year ago, this last October, my grandson committed suicide. And so I visited another side of death that was totally foreign to me, and yet very beautiful in many ways. He made a conscious choice that he did not belong here and that he didn't want to be here. And so I bring that to the table, knowing that death is part of life.
Yeah.
And that both are what we will experience. Right?
Yeah.
So the word sacred is derived from the word sacrifice. That is the epitome of our life, Jackie, is sacrifice. Because we carry the universe in our womb, right?
Yeah.
The womb is sacred, and we carry everything in it.
We carry everything in her.
We do. And the more that we can connect with her, and I believe the heart and the womb are connected. And the more we connect with her, moves to the sacral heart, this heart chakra. And we elude the work that we're supposed to do here. It's not anything that we have to try to do.
Yeah.
Or work to do. It's what we're meant to do. So it comes to us.
Thank you for that. I need to pause there. There's so much. So much.
It is so much, Jackie, and even having 12, each one of them, I realized several years ago. So I created my own childbirth education 8-week online course, and it was born out of coming into contact with the pain points, which were the 12 children that I had that completed me. I was born with a couple of conditions that caused me to be very weak physically and made me also weak emotionally. And in my heart, everything led to me having those 12 children. The religion that I went to, I wanted in every way, the partner that I chose, everything led me to that, to prove to my mom or my parents that I was strong. We're strong, Jackie, and yet that's the trauma bond that we have with our parents or partners. We don't have anything to prove to anybody.
Yeah.
We really don't. And then we spend a lifetime cleaning the messes up, right?
Oh, Lordy, don't we?
And when I do this anymore, I don't do this sweeping under the rug.
Yeah.
I do this clearing the air.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm telling you, it gets icky and dusty and messy. Mamahood is.
We were talking about this. We touched in our first conversation, just this deep need for the realness of what it takes to walk as a mother, like to carry children hold them, love them, go through the sacrifice within the body, open ourselves to become a vessel. And we also have talked about, like, we are incarnating more fully personally, right? More of us is coming in. The mother is coming inside of us, as well as the soul of the child, and what that means. And we wonder, I mean, why, of course, our society is not set up in a way that is conducive for this nourished, held, supported, strengthened, psychologically, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, like adept mama, right? It's like, I mean, everybody's kind of got a limb, right? And it's like, how do we use that limb and raise, and be secure and grounded and raise babies? And so we're seeing a world of women unexpressed. And when they are expressed, it's through distortion and through pain, because
everything is distorted.
Yeah, because everything is distorted. I really like to remember that. And it was great that we touched on it. And the more and more people that see it, for me, it gives me enlivenment, because I'm like, okay. I mean, everything is an illusion. Our televisions, our relationships, are the things that half of our friends are saying, with great love and respect, our colleagues. I mean, everything has been inverted. Everything has been twisted, that we have got to find the grace inside. Otherwise, there's no getting out with any, like, true sense of reverence for life and recognition for a full, lived, embodied, truthful existence on this planet, one that is, like, rooted in nurture and succulence and care.
Yes. And that starts within, that nurturing starts within. It starts with us nurturing ourselves first. And we're not told that, Jackie. We're not told that as daughters, as children. We aren't telling our sons that. And if my children watch this, if they by chance come upon this, or any women that I work with, because we both have a realm of and zone of influence, right? That we're not some haughty, we're looking for nurture. That we didn't have ourselves.
Yeah, we did not have it ourselves.
And what's happening is we're working, well, I don't, not necessarily working, but we're consciously living to shift that paradigm.
Yeah.
Because that old paradigm never worked.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It
It's
did
not
not.
working for our civilization. It's not.
It's not working, and we individually are responsible for what we know to do.
Yeah.
And that is the awakening of the womb.
Yeah.
That is understanding that every time we carry a child within, every woman, and we carry that too. We carry that for them too.
We do.
With each phase, with maidenhood, matri, the mother, and the crone. We're to carry that generation after generation after generation.
Yeah.
We cannot give up. And we cannot go back now. Right?
Yeah, I understand that. And Lord knows I have tried.
Oh,
right? Like, can we just go back into the womb?
I was getting ready to say that. We can't go back in the womb.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we have to be held in her spiritual womb, but we have to keep going. It reminds me of the whale. For sure.
Yeah. How powerful is that? And we also didn't know, when we were carrying our unborn within us, that they were and are sentient beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they were here before they were here.
Yes.
And that when they come into our space, our womb space, they aren't this ball of mush.
Yeah.
They already have their feelings. They already have their personalities. It has been noted, and I've read on it through my own research and studying, how there are adults that remember being in the womb.
Oh yeah. I remember being in the womb.
I remember being in the womb and coming over.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And so it's calling to recall, remember, restore, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
It is what we're doing.
It's the work that we're doing. And it's huge.
It's huge and it's such holy work. And it really brings, and I think that that's what we find in mothering and in feminine work, is that the holiness is really found in the mundane and in the mess, right? Like we know the spiritual wisdom that is ascertained from waking up with your screaming children in the middle of the night, and having to learn to serve another human being when you are so depleted. And
Yeah.
yet somehow there is a life force that utilizes our bodies, and it draws so immense power.
Well, I think we minimize it. I mean, when we're in the trenches of that motherhood and your children go through the flu and they're vomiting, you're cleaning up their vomit. And I think of certain sicknesses that are so like strep throat. And I'm throwing these things out here only because Jackie,
I
we're in it with them. We're feeling it. We're going through the emotion with them for years and years, and we give up everything for them. Everything for them.
everything.
And then as they grow,
Yeah.
they forget. They forget.
Yeah.
And so, but that's still with us always.
Because we hold that memory like the whale.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
we do.
It's stored into our cellular level.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I am so deeply working on personally, and I know that it is everything that I offer to women as well. But just this, can you imagine how, I mean, the inversion here in the world of distortion, that we experience all that. We cultivate life inside of us, which is no easy feat. And the most miraculous, most powerful thing ever, ever. And it's undermined, right? As though everybody's doing it, so it's not a big deal. And meanwhile, it is the most precious, most important, most valuable thing that one can experience.
Jackie, the power of it is that we are the ultimate alchemist.
Absolutely.
Our bodies create liquid into bone, into flesh and bone.
God. And
Nobody does
fire.
that through the feminine, right?
Yeah.
Through the fire of the womb.
Yeah.
Of we are the ultimate alchemist.
And isn't it fascinating? And it makes, I feel great, deep grief about it, because I personally am continuing to transform and alchemize this deep pain around, as you said, we hold the memory, we go through this experience with our children, we hold them, we grow with them, we provide for them. And then everything is reverted back as though attacking ourselves, the self-judgment, the criticism, every single thing we feel then somehow responsible for. And our culture and society is like bad mom, right? It's like literally everything I've ever done is wrong as it pertains to this human life.
No matter how you raise them, you raised yours with freedom.
Yep.
And yet I did not, thinking, we both thought we were doing in our heart's purity of heart.
Yeah. Yeah. All we could do was the best we could do with the circumstances that we were.
I thought I was torturing my kids.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
But I think that what has happened is that matrix hits them and they forget. Our job is to help them remember through our own remembering, through our own life,
Yeah.
and cultivating that in other women.
Mm.
But for children, it happens when they hit like 12 and 13 years old, that, when that magical world that they came into, right, turns on them.
Yeah.
And the matrix becomes real to them of, oh, I have a potty mouth. I'll say shit instead,
Say
but
it. You can say whatever you want.
fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean I'm not in a dreamland anymore? I'm
Yeah.
not in a land of make-believe anymore? When trauma hits them.
Yeah.
And everybody, there is not one person on this planet that has not gone through trauma.
Yeah. Agreed.
They're
I'm
really,
glad it's semi-amplified right now in the world. So it's something that is, awake and aware, but I also feel that it's going to move through some muck because now it's also at some level going totally to the other side and the other edge, that everybody's needs to be trauma informed, and everybody, like, you know, it's like another label of victimizing people in this world, which loves to do that, right? Like, you're victimized by your race, you're victimized by the body you're in, you're victimized by, I mean, anything, and cancel, delete. We're actually doing this deep work to replenish the truth, like come back to the soulful living of being in the power of whatever God gave you to walk in, right? The skin you're in, the mother body you're in, if you're a mama, and how to do that with a sense of greater love, respect, and autonomy.
yes. And we're all mamas.
Yes,
Whether we have physically birthed a child or not, our eggs are given to us from the time that we're conceived, right? And so we're all
absolutely.
mamas.
We are all mamas. It took me some time to really want to get on board with that, because for me, I was like, in this world that wants to like make everybody feel better, like, you're a mother too. Like, yes, of course you are. But for a long time, I personally had resistance to that because I want to honor the journey of women that actually are carrying the birth.
Yes.
And there's so many variations of what the mother looks like. So with that said, I do that now. And I also truly understand that we actually are all mothers, and that every bleed is it's preparation every month. That is a living sacrifice of embodying her.
An initiation.
Yes, without ever even having to bring a physical life into the body. So to all the women, just I really honor it. It's a big holy job. It is, my teacher always says, like, the women's kingdom. I mean, it is the highest service, and it is the highest power. So
It is.
women will achieve greater states. Yeah, we have it, the womb, we have it.
From one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
What awakened me to that extreme was when I was in the church, and or whether within or without, there were women that couldn't have children. And here I was having baby after baby, but they didn't know that I was behind my closed doors begging that I wouldn't get pregnant all the time, that I would get space so that I could give my other children more time and more of me.
Yeah.
And yet I was just so fertile. And there were times that I'd have my husband sleep on the couch for months. Like,
Yeah.
don't touch me, you know? And so, and yet there were women that were looking at me with such jealousy
Oh,
and envy. And I was on the other side of that mirror saying, I'm your opposite.
yeah.
I'm your opposite.
Mm,
Why were they chosen? That they couldn't get pregnant, that they couldn't carry, or even if they could carry, that their babies didn't stay put,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And here mine stayed put. and several of them have the same conditions I do, so they've suffered greatly. And I caused that because I had so many. It's just we live the polar opposites, and yet the woman carry all emotions in their womb.
Yeah.
And that's how we understand that whether they've bore children or not, carry children and birth children or not, they have the same emotions
Yeah.
because they bled too.
Yeah.
Because when they started their moon cycle, as their womb grew with blood, so did their heart. And that's really when young girls begin to dream, isn't it?
Mm.
Little girls. And then when they get their cycle, they want to change the world. They
Yeah,
do.
they do.
Because as their womb grew, their heart grew. And that is never going to change, Jackie. And that's why our work will continue
Yeah.
in walking in that integrity.
I love that. Something's coming in for me around the heart to just touch on just the heart blooming when our young girls when we start to menstruate. And then also this, again, we've talked about initiation is the next rite of passage if you are going to carry children. The way that our heart and our spiritual energy, the way we come online, like in our bodies when we're pregnant, the way that our heart opens to be able to provide love in a way that we couldn't even possibly have experienced, right? It's like drawing God out through the body and experiencing a love like you've never, like you'll do or die, do anything. And it's like summoning. It's like that soul summons us into a higher level of inner authority, a higher level of self, everything. And then so we learn to love because somebody else called us into that love. And
because we needed more of it, Jackie.
Exactly. I would have never, I would have never as a teenager. Now, both of us are teenage mothers, right? So as a teenager, I couldn't even imagine summoning that type of love. It was like his soul coming in is what brought me to the precipice of like, oh my God, open me fully, take me. Oh, it makes me just cry. Take me. I'm yours.
I'll die for you.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
totally.
would die for ourselves.
Yeah. Oh,
And
it's
yet I'll never forget. So when I first had my first home birth after those C-sections, my midwives told me while I was in labor that a woman never comes closer to death than in birth.
Isn't it like,
How true is that? That we are willing to give our life to bring forth a child through our womb.
yeah,
But that's also, it just gives me chills because that's what makes us love that child even more is the experience
yeah,
of that sacrifice as well. And I
yeah.
think also that's been the disconnect too, is
Mhm.
there's so many C-sections and women not getting their physiological birth and not
Yeah,
uh, given that opportunity or taken the opportunity. Either way, is that they have given up that rite of passage of motherhood,
yeah.
of that bonding, that incredible, powerful bonding that came through you sacrificing your life and giving your life to have that child.
It's unfathomable. And it, for me, as I'm continuing to reckon and nurture and heal that voice of like, like the programming, the conditioning, of who are our children in the world, and what, as you said, like now your children have some of the ailments that you have, like as though you had anything to, I mean, you had something to do with it just because by being who you were, but not, it wasn't your fault, right? Like it's something that came through the ancestors, it came through the soul, however the imprints were there. And the more and more you become aware of it, you help out as however best you can.
Well, and two, we all have something. We
Exactly.
all have something. And for me growing up, I didn't hate what I had. I actually felt like it humbled me in many ways. And so I wanted my children, I knew that there was a 50-50 chance that each of my children would have it. And that's, that's part of their, why would you have kids if you knew that you were going to possibly pass it down? And I wanted them to love themselves in spite of that any condition that they had. That we are not our limitations.
Yeah.
And we talked about this the other day, that we knew before we knew, like we already knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we could reclaim and recall, we already have known. We already knew.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I think that's the challenge for the people outside of us, is that people don't want to look at themselves. I posted something today on shadow work. It means that we have to go inside. We have to nurture, because we didn't really truly know what nurturing was.
Yeah.
Nurture ourselves and our inner child,
Mm-hmm.
and our inner little girl.
All day.
All
Every
day.
aspect that comes, whoever needs milk and honey.
Right. And all the sweetness.
Yeah. And
Why?
and needing that while also having all the parts of us that just want to get on with it. Right. Like, and honoring those too that are like, okay, let's, it's a big, um, nuanced relationship.
Yes, it is.
It's like a sack of kids that have different ideas and and different beliefs. And it's like, okay, everybody, let's get on the bus. Can we just move forward in one direction? Come, you're here, you're there.
No, but see, that's the key, is staying present for those that are ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that as you speak that truth, as you have spoken your truth within yourself, and you speak truth to them, which is, be kind to yourself,
Yeah.
love yourself. What is it you truly want?
Mm.
Stop being so hard on yourself and beating yourself up, and within our own inner child.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we have this idea of what success is in the midst of the damn matrix.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which has made
It's
it,
all an illusion.
yeah, it's all an illusion that benefits from others not being in their true essence, because then
Yes.
you're a product,
Yes.
right? Be more of this, do more of this.
It's
Let's
a huge work, Jackie, because even being a home birth midwife assistant, first of all, there's not enough, quote, legal midwives. A long time ago, it didn't take what it takes now.
yeah.
It just took mothers, women sitting with women, and helping that woman bring life forth, with encouraging her. She's the one doing all the work, but believing in her,
Mm.
that she can do it, and that we're there to witness her. But now it's just so monitored, and it's more and more women are not wanting to birth in the hospital realm.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing, Jackie, but here there's such a catch to it,
Mm-hmm.
because, and this is a whole nother story that we'll talk about some other time.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's crucial that these women are doing the work and that they're wanting to do the work.
Yeah.
But we are battling the medical model of care, that they are still judged if they have a home birth and something out of the ordinary, out of what we call the ordinary
Yeah.
happens. Well, it's because you had a home birth.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Well, if you had just come to us, if
Yeah.
they're
That might not have happened.
right, you
Yeah.
know, a death of a baby or whatever it is, well, that's your own fault. You didn't trust us.
Yeah.
And Jackie, that's on an exponential level still.
Oh, 100%. Even I continue to deprogram personally.
Yes.
So it's like, wow, when I see, I don't know, you probably are familiar with their work because you're, in the world of mamaing, but the Free Birth Society, they're just, yeah, they're doing a lot of really beautiful work. So even sometimes I've just become very aware of certain things that I'm still personally carrying. And I'm like, oh my God, oh, great. Let's clear that out because it's so true. Why should we not just be pregnant and birthing? Like, what are we doing?
We're we're not trusting our bodies. We're not
Yeah.
trusting ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're also fearing death.
Yes.
And the ramifications are real. Like I mean, if there's a woman that attends a birth and or is an attendant or what birth keepers, whatever, that has a really negative connotation today, and something happens, wow, she could get arrested. She could lose everything.
Yeah. Thank you for speaking into this because yeah, it's a huge responsibility.
It's a huge responsibility.
Mm,
And even for me to speak freely about it in the realm that I work is really challenging too,
yeah.
because I see both sides.
And would you agree, like when I'm listening and like tuning into Free Birth Society, there's a lot of talk about how a lot of doulas and midwives are also equally as conditioned from in many of their practices in the way that they're disempowering women still under a model that is still not really free.
It's true. But again, it's such a paradox because nobody wants to die or their baby to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet you've got to take responsibility. If you're choosing that, you have to take 100% responsibility for that outcome.
That is huge, Lesa.
It's huge.
And that's why I think many people, well, one, it's foreign in this society now, right? Like generations removed, it's foreign.
Yeah.
Plus, for those that are going back to it, like just leaning into it, I'm like, oh, I would love to do that. And it also takes my breath away, right? Like it's also like, whoa, the responsibility, as you said, it's enormous. Like, can you live with the choice you made when you don't know the outcome? Welcome to life.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, we gave that up a long time ago. Like my own example, because Josiah was born with Down syndrome, but he also had a severe, severe heart defect. And after he was born, he nursed really quickly, but then he wouldn't nurse anymore. But I knew that he could. And he just, if we kept him at home, he would have died. And I knew that. I knew that. And I wanted him at home. I wanted him at home until he was no more. That's what I wanted. And 70 hours into it or whatever, we called the pediatrician, took him in, and he asked me, he was a very, very good friend, and he asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to take him home until he is no more.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll support that. He told me what to do. And like a few hours later, he still hadn't eaten. We're into over 70 hours now. And Glenn was just like, I can't do this, Lesa. I can't do this. We have to take him in.
Mm.
And after I just laughed and danced him out in my house. And we took him in, and he's 30 something today, profoundly severely handicapped, doesn't live at home. But you know what, Jackie, if he had died at home, the midwives that attended me, and it wouldn't be me that turned him in.
Yeah.
I was an activist even then. I was protesting and holding signs up for midwives in Austin, Texas,
Right.
before I got pregnant with my fifth, realizing the volatility, the witch hunt of midwives that has been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
We know they weren't witches. We know they knew the earth.
Yeah.
We know they knew the herbs and what would help, what would heal.
Yeah.
No, that has not changed. And so when, if Josiah had died and I had taken him in, if they had found out who my midwives were, and again, it wouldn't be me, what if they called CPS and I had to go to court and had to be, on oath or whatever? I don't know. I do know that they would have been thrown in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I chose to have a home birth.
The home birthing, the homeschooling, the vaccine, like there is so much that women and men are walking the edge with right now to truly liberate themselves. And it does come with a cost. Oftentimes, like there's court, there's a lot here. It is so brave to leave the foundation of that false world.
Yes.
And PS, I also want to say I'm still a part of it. And part of it, I'm really big in my life at this moment, and I give myself permission to change and grow. But I like to take the fruit as needed from everywhere. Like everything's available to me.
You pick, you choose, you refuse.
Exactly. So that is where I am. And I actually have a gynecologist who's a man, and I love him. I love him. He's my guy. He's so handsome. He's sexy.
A little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit sexy. And I love him. He listens to me. If he's like, I really would like you to go for a mammogram, but I already know. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna pass. And he's like, okay, I understand. He's like, you're gonna use your herbs and your things for your yoni. And I'm like, yeah.
Gonna use my yoni steams.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I'm still connected to that world. And because I've had a huge fibroids removed from my womb, and he saved my womb. He was somebody who came in to work with me to heal something that I couldn't do on my own. So he's a brother to me. And every year I send him a card or I call him on the day of my surgery. And I'm like, I just want to thank you again. And he is so touched by it.
He facilitated you.
Totally did. He was the only one who was like, I'm going to save your womb. All the other doctors that I went to were like, we're going to take everything out, but don't worry. We'll leave you a couple things. Don't worry. You'll still be able to have sensation. You won't lose any. And I'm like, anyway, it's a whole other story, but
it is, because they don't understand the ramifications of us losing that part of our body.
Exactly. The amount of grief and what happens on the planet when women's wombs are removed from them. Yeah.
Unless they are processing it.
Exactly. And conscious with it. Otherwise, it's huge.
It's huge. And it's being done in the hospitals, in the operating room, after women have had multiple C-sections. Well, let's just take everything out.
Yeah.
Having babies, And so women more and more still are taking their power back, even women that have had more and more C-sections, 5, 6, 7, 8 C-sections, me on the phone with them, it's the work that we've got to do, and it will never stop.
Yeah. It will
Never.
never stop. It may take a different form, but it will never stop. At the heart of matter is liberation and connection and reverence for life. And oh, my womb is like, oh,
It's heating up. Mine's heating up.
yeah. And it's like every art, and it's really important. I mentioned this with you last time too, just for our daughters and our sons. They are coming through us. They are coming through us. So every woman, it's it's all of our, it's the entire population that is.
It's the entire population, and like you said earlier, it's like it's going from one end of the pendulum to the next. This all woo woo, and um, just even the secret, like claim it or whatever. The real work is internal.
Yes, yes.
It's this manifestation word.
Yeah.
That has been way overused in many, many
Yeah.
ways. It's not to say that I don't believe in it.
Me neither. It's just inverted and distorted a little bit. That's all.
Right. But understanding with manifestation comes growth, and with growth comes whatever that means, whatever causes us to grow.
Yeah.
And we talked about this the other day because I brought out my little dilation
Will
wheel.
you bring it out again?
Yeah. I love
I
the
love props.
dilation wheel. Like, yeah, I use it in my artwork. I use it in everything because expansion is painful.
Yes.
And we're so impatient with ourselves and with our bodies. Women and men. Men have no clue of this, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We do.
I want to just add in, I would like men. I want to say there are some men that are in relationships with women that get it, right? That are part of it. They can never fully understand because they're not embodying it. But I would like men to have more education. Like I would love, my son did get some of it from me, but I would love for our sons to learn to appreciate women just from the very natural fact that their mothers and everybody around them had to put a baby through that size, through that hole, that our bodies expanded to that.
And it takes
Ahead.
time ahead. And I told you the other day, actually, heads are bigger than 10 centimeters.
Yeah.
And it just takes time to go from nothing to this. And it takes a huge, huge release, because every time we do this, physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, it causes more pain.
Yeah.
So really, in a spiritual realm, in an emotional realm, Jackie, what we're trying to help women facilitate is to be able to expand and open without fear,
Yeah.
and to realize that it doesn't come with ease. It comes with primal. See, even that word primal gives me chills,
Me too.
because we've put it on YouTube that if you just do it a certain way, everything just, orgasmic birth. Hey, I do not poo-poo that.
Yeah, me neither. It feels foreign to me, but I want it. I want everybody to have it.
Well, if we could only realize, if women wouldn't be embarrassed to understand that what orgasm is and
Yeah.
what it does, even as I said that, I felt really corrected, like orgasmic, right? And what got baby in, we tell women what got baby in gets baby out.
Yeah.
And how disconnected we are with ourselves with that.
Mm.
And I'm talking not just physically, I'm talking emotionally and spiritually,
Yeah.
and that we live our lives restricting. Fear does that. And then we can't expand like we need to. Because we talked the other day, we're constantly giving birth to different things.
Yeah.
We're constantly gestating something within our wombs. We're growing in our wombs all the time because we're women. Woman, right?
Yeah.
And so this is a physical example. And so the head is often like between 13 to 15 centimeters instead of 10, right?
I love
And
it.
so I showed you this. I'm not an artist. Like when I drew this, I was embarrassed because I know women that do this and they are like,
No,
what?
this is, I don't know. When you say that, I'm like, what? I think it's phenomenal to me.
Oh, well, I know women artists that do art, birth artwork and are anyway. So felt, so when I draw or when I paint, I feel led to it.
Mhm.
And so I felt led to do a
Mm.
full 10 centimeters
Yeah.
of a woman transforming into birth, and that drawing the skull, the top of the skull of the baby that has the two fontanelles in the back and in the front. This is the perfect position.
Mhm.
It can be other positions, but this is what we want. But the purpose of this is these sutures are malleable and soft, so that as the baby goes through the birth canal, the baby's head is soft
Mm.
and can be pushed through the cervix, the 10 centimeters. And then when the baby's born, expand to its natural centimeters, whatever that will be. But we talked about this yesterday and how right now we're going through such a shift of getting out of our heads and moving into our hearts, that in our heads we become hard.
Yeah.
Our hearts are meant to stay soft and pliable, as are our wombs. And that the baby's head, that as we birth things, that for us, we have to stay soft.
I have to tell you, and I'm going to invite our audience that right now, from this conversation, I am feeling the sensations inside of my own womb and just envisioning and feeling myself inside as softer, so that the me that I'm birthing and the energy that is inside of me that is, afraid or frazzled, it just, that everything is softer. And
Yes.
I feel it right at the edge of the vaginal canal for me. It feels really like a beautiful exercise of softening from within, with this vision of the baby's head. It feels really special because, you can tell somebody just relax, but it doesn't work if somebody's stressed out. But from inside, feeling that inner baby, that inner life force just starting to soften feels really palpable.
Well, and the cervix has to soften first, doesn't it?
Mm. So much magic.
So magical. And women are the only ones that can do that. Jackie, I don't care what times we live in today.
I'm with you. High five. Yes.
It is what it is.
Hmm.
It's been that way since the beginning of time.
It has.
And so in our hearts, the work for us is to help women soften their own selves
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
themselves, within themselves.
Amen. We're doing it and we're going to keep doing it.
Yes. And the tapestry of weaving life and death, that we're not afraid of either.
Yeah.
That they're both really the same realm, though polar opposites.
Yeah.
And that we're not afraid. It's just a passage.
Yeah.
Isn't everything just a passage?
It's just a passage when you're aware. So,
Everything is a portal in a passage.
yes. So just one more piece that wants to drop in here is for those that come and those that are ready, honoring and remembering that what comes as wisdom and what is natural to us, like women always have, like we always have as humans, we share what we have, right? If we have a little bit of food, we share it. And women's work and women's wisdom, its natural breath is to share it, right?
And to multiply it, Jackie.
Yes, because that
And
is what we
multiply
do.
and share.
It will do that. It will do that for sure. And so just bringing attention to initiations, bringing attention to menstruation, the onset of menstruation with our young girls. This is such a primordial, important time for them. And motherhood and coming into relationship and sex. I mean, all of these times of great, great power.
Mm-hmm.
And so more and more what I call spiritual mothers, spiritual godmothers everywhere. It's like we're just going to be planted and seeded and blooming all over the planet to fill the hearts and the wombs of those that are coming forward to start to prepare to remember and just helping them to remember who they are and learn to trust themselves again.
Right.
And it will reshape. I think what people don't understand is it reshapes lives. Like
It reshapes yours.
yeah,
Reshaping.
absolutely.
It's reshaping. And I believe on an exponential level at this
Me
point,
too.
even though it's not the majority, it's still happening.
Me too. I want to lean into one more thing before we start to segue out. I just want to, and we've gently touched on it, but I just want to get your feedback because it's something that's coming in very strong for me that is about to emerge in a new form of the work. And that is medicalized care. And so I just want to speak into how we are living in a world right now where drugs, like everybody's on drugs. And I say that lovingly, I was too. I was on antidepressants when I was younger to stop smoking. I was on birth control pills. I started, I think, when I was 12 or 13 years old. So we are seeing this infection of like, make your period go away. I remember personally, like, going away with a man and wanting to not have my period. So like messing around with my birth control pills to like avoid my cycle, like all this psychoticness. But our daughters are medicated from the time they're young so that it doesn't, there's a lot there.
There's a lot there, Jackie, but it's because they've not been taught to take care of themselves.
Exactly.
It's periods are painful.
Yeah.
A painful reminder that they're women.
Yes.
And yet that is the very thing that makes us women.
Love that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And if we lean into that pain may easily go away. Like for some people, that is actually happens, right? Like when we don't medicate it and just move into it, that ancestral trauma, whatever it is that's being held, that's upset, that needs something, that can be nourished. And people's symptoms do shift. Like we are alchemists. That's a real fucking thing.
It's a real fucking thing.
So, and again, daughters, now this is like something I've been looking at myself recently, which is like now with the age of the internet and everything. Before it was like you, and still is to a certain degree, your children only have access to the environment that they were born in. So for you and I, right, like whatever we learned from mom, whatever we learned from picking up from the environment, that's pretty much it. And now the environment has become so vast that now people are going to Google. Women are, young girls are going to Google instead of going to their aunts and their mothers and their sisters to ask about sex and about, all the things.
And it's the worst thing.
It's the worst thing ever, ever. So with that, it's like, I was thinking, yes, we have to reach the mothers, right? It always comes with the women, and that so they can embody what it is that they're teaching and share it naturally through the environment with their offspring. As well, though, we're capable now of reaching youth.
Yes.
Rather than their mothers, because sometimes their mothers are not going to even be on board. Their mothers are in the old paradigm, and these younger teenagers are actually looking for it and trying to create a new pathway forward. So it's like the Ouroboros. I just feel like everything is the snake biting its tail. Everything is trying to come home.
Yes. And when I think of the Ouroboros, I also think of this.
Me too. I just thought of that also. Yeah. Totally. It is.
Everything circles around. It always does. It's a cycle, right? Everything is cyclical.
Yeah.
So we're definitely in a huge paradigm cycle.
Yeah.
And we have to realize too, Jackie, it's one at a time.
Yeah, it is.
Until that shifts.
Yeah.
Right.
And we are seeing it is shifting, right? Because it used to be much, much more one at a time. Now it's like, sometimes it's a little group. Sometimes it's.
And you can't make them see.
No, they have to want to see.
That's right.
I remember banging my head against the wall a lot with that because, right, like there's so much grief. It's uncomfortable for me for them not to see, right? When you're sitting with women who are disconnected from themselves, it hurts because it's a reflection and remembering of when I was not connected to that.
It's
right.
Mm-hmm.
And that passes. And eventually I just find it is easier though, like, because when people come when they're ready, it's like you can just touch that sweet spot in them spiritually, emotionally, you're just there and they can find it for themselves. Their wombs are like, I'm
yes,
ready.
They say yes.
Yeah.
It's like I was talking to somebody yesterday about her birth. She has a lot of anxiety. I was like, if you could just tell yourself yes.
Yeah.
What do you want? And then tell yourself yes.
Yeah. I love
We
that.
make everything so hard.
Or let's do that right now. Let's apply that. Oh my God. Hold on one sec. I just want to apply that inwardly right now. You want to be so nourished. I want to be so nourished spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, aligned with deep support and nourishment.
And nurture.
And nurture.
Be nurtured.
Yes, yes, yes. I want that. I'm giving that to myself right now.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's okay to be nurtured. That we welcome that nurturing. Even as I sit here and do this, I don't want it to be a performance, Jackie.
I hear you, Mama. I hear you.
And why not? It's been so hard. Why make anything harder than what it already is?
Yeah.
Let's say yes to ease.
Let's say yes to ease. Let's say yes to pleasure.
To open, to being open.
And let's say yes to pain.
Yes.
Oh, my body's, thank you. That's hitting in right now. Let's say yes to pain.
Because what comes with pain? Pleasure.
Side by side.
Pleasure. It gives me chills because with my birth, with my first vaginal birth after those 4 C-sections, I felt pain and pleasure.
Yeah. Isn't it? It's fascinating and so true. We're wired for it.
Yes, we are.
And I mean, there are a million times when I look back in my life where I actually allowed myself to receive the pain, like fully, like it's like take the hit. That's what it feels like for me. When I take the hit, I feel so much fucking relief. Right? Oh my God. So much relief. It feels so much better because it's the truth.
Well, and we use physical pain to know we're still alive, right? In many, many ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's primal.
Yeah.
That's natural.
That's the medicine.
If we could understand that pain is pleasure
Yeah.
in most, especially in childbirth.
Yeah, exactly. Because
It's not the same if we break a leg or whatever else, but in childbirth, in making love, in our sexual prowess that we've been taught to suppress,
yeah,
pleasure and pain, pain and pleasure go together.
yeah, agreed.
That
Agreed.
is
Thank you for that. Thank you for all of this. It's been really beautiful spending time with you and garnering your wisdom. And yet, I also think it's so beautiful at every age. Like so much experience. Thank you for showing up and being a mother of this new time. That's what we are. We're mothers of this new time. And it takes so much courage. So just thank you for doing it. It takes so much courage to raise one fucking kid. Raising 12, I'm like, just thank
a
you.
hard life, Jackie. I chose a
Yeah.
hard life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was hard on them too. I will not diminish that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was for such a time as this. And I don't want to exploit it.
Yeah. I know.
I want to use it to help others.
Beautiful. And so it is.
And so it is.
I'm gonna knock on
Mhm.
wood.
Right. Trunk right here.
So I'm sure we'll have you on again. We'll talk more about this. And I feel like our work, yeah, we might be crossing paths about some other things too. But I want to ask you, for those that are wanting to bloom babies and how they can work with you, anything that's any ways for them to come into contact and be supported by you.
Well, I do talk to women really on a daily basis, from all over. Just,
Yeah.
like you do, right? Um, I also created an online 8-week course, and it's called From Creation to Mother, the Spiritual Guide, Overcoming the Fear and Anxiety of Childbirth.
Amazing.
It was born out of, we know that 30% of births end up in C-sections, end up in major abdominal surgery,
Yeah.
which mostly is from inductions, which is medically done. And so I'm not saying there's not some fear and trepidation in childbirth and what can happen, because it really is the epitome of the unknown and the unpredictable. Childbirth is the epitome of the unknown and the unpredictable. Yet in my heart, if we could help women tap into their own mothering, into their own womb, into their mother as well,
Yeah.
what their relationship was with their own mother, what her pregnancy was like, what her birth was like, through those generations, that we can break the cycles of fear and anxiety in childbirth.
Mm.
And what happens when that happens? Well, what happens when that happens is that we welcome motherhood and we change the face of mothering,
Mm.
because we have mothered ourselves first.
Yeah.
And there's a saying that, um, child peace on earth begins at birth. That totally no, peace on earth begins before birth,
Mm.
way before birth. Begins with our birthing of ourselves and loving ourselves, and also women carry the universe in their wombs.
Mm.
We forget how enormous that is.
Yeah, we do.
And so whatever we have to offer, whatever I have to offer, I have a website,
Great.
www.doulamom12.com.
Amazing.
And I love my 8-week online course. I love her very much.
Yay.
I birthed her in the mountains while I was staying with my son by a river.
Beautiful.
And working with women is an honor.
Mm,
And so they can get in touch with me through that.
great.
They can talk with me by phone. I've done a lot of energy work
Yeah.
through the phone. So yeah, that's I'm
Perfect.
available through that.
Perfect.
And I do virtual doula work as well. But yeah, and Jackie, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I have in my own soul connected with you a while ago, and I just love how things work out that we're supposed to meet the women that we're supposed to be with.
Yeah.
And I know this is not the last time.
Yeah. For sure. I'm very
Because
grateful.
I tap into your wisdom as well.
Mm,
We're all one.
yeah. We are. We are. Thank you for sharing your heart today.
Thank you for having me.
To everybody, thank you for listening. Yeah, I'm just going to end it with that. Thank you for listening. May you all be blessed and continue to love yourselves and nourish in a deep and fulfilling way. All the
Kind
blessings.
to yourself. Stay soft.
Stay soft from the inside. Thank you. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.